Hi guys, this is George from Cyprus. I'm doing this from my office. Just had one of those Yoda moments where you think about things, so I just thought I'd share something quite different. I'm going to talk about a moral compass in crabs. I don't know whether you can relate to that or whether you have even thought about it, but I've been trying to understand how do we remain moral when we actually put out videos like we do. And I was researching it a bit, and it says that a moral standard refers to the norms which we have about the types of actions which we believe to be morally acceptable and morally unacceptable. Specifically, moral standards deal with matters which can either seriously harm or seriously benefit humans. In philosophy, moral responsibility is the status of morally deserving praise, blame, reward, or punishment for an act or omission performed or neglected in accordance with one's moral obligation. Deciding what, if anything, counts as morally obligatory is a principal concern of ethics. So the moral obligation in the eyes of the law comes under two kinds. The first one, those founded on a natural right, as the obligation to be charitable, and it can never be enforced by law, or those which are supported by a good or valuable antecedent consideration, as when a man owes a debt barred by the act of limitations. This cannot be recovered by law, though it subsists in morality and conscience. But if the debtor promises to pay, the moral obligation is sufficient consideration for the promise, and the creditor may maintain an action of assumpsit to recover the money. In our case, none of the above, are relevant, because we did not owe anybody anything for putting material out there. But we could do something about it. And there is an ethical point of view which says ought implies can, which means if you ought or should do something which morally is correct, then you first must be able to do it. That is, if you're only morally required to do things that are possible for you to do. In our case, yes, we can do something which is morally possible. It's possible for us to do. And I'm going to show this through something called moral luck. If I am lucky enough to demonstrate a strategy in a particular session which yields high returns, then I'm morally lucky. However, this does not absolve me of my responsibility to warn my viewers that this does not always work, especially in the game of craps, which is a game described as the equivalent of a stock trader buying futures, either call options or put options. In my opinion, we are moral agents in promoting our strategies, because we put these strategies and the systems out there with limited roles or biased raw data simply because we consider ourselves as good shooters. And by being good shooters, we support these systems and strategies and methods. We cannot be simply considered part of the chain of events which led to a win on our videos. And we cannot absolve ourselves from somebody choosing our system, as they do. You see this in many comments, deciding to they're not deciding out of thin air to use our betting systems and either succeed or lose money. This is casual responsibility on our behalf. So in order to absolve ourselves of this moral responsibility, we can only warn our viewers, subscribers, to the potential pitfalls of our methods, strategies, systems, by giving them examples of how a strategy may fail, even if it does not in our 20-minute videos. It is always part of human nature to promote the best in us, the best in ourselves, as opposed to the average in ourselves. And we may feel compelled not to post a video with bad throws and lots of 7-outs, even though morally it will be the right thing to do, simply to show that these things do happen. So I urge all my friends out there to do one of two things: either warn your viewers of the potential downsides and pitfalls of the strategies that you are using, or indeed demonstrate how they could go wrong, simply because there is no known system which goes against the casino, or else the casino would have changed the rules already. Moral responsibility, however, extends further and includes your responsibility towards your family and other people that care about you. So you should be asking these questions. When does the sport become a game? When does the game become an addiction? And what is enough profit for you? Simply put, if you aim to make anything over the annual interest rate charged by banks, taking into account taxes, etc., that will mean any profit over, say, 5%. Is that enough for you? Many amongst us would argue that this would be little for the amount of risk we take. So let's assume that you make 10% profit. Is that enough? 20%? 30%? 100%? When is enough for you? We should always need to try to have context in order to avoid becoming victims to a delusion. And in doing so, forget that we have families that depend on us and need us. Our attention, our solutions to their problems, real life. So in closing, as content providers, we need to be morally responsible towards all our viewers out there, and as game participants, we do have a real responsibility to be aware of real life, family and other responsibilities towards other human beings, and to be content with any small profit that we would have otherwise not been able to achieve if we had our money, let's say, in the bank. So thank you for listening to this 8 minutes of blabber. I just felt it's important for us to, be considerate and be morally righteous towards other people that are new to this game. And we should be warning them. And we should be looking out for each other in terms of, not becoming too addicted to something that is very easy to get addicted to. This is George from Cyprus. On a very serious note, have a wonderful week ahead.